Welcome back, guys. On today's episode of What the Hell is Lexi Doing in the Shop Today, we are unboxing this clutch welder and welding table from Northern Tool. I have never welded in my 10 years as an electrician, and I am now starting. Now that I'm into restoring trucks, I am going to need to learn how to weld because in these types of states, you have a lot of rust.
Do they go on the outside? Oh, I'm really not good at this. Okay, and this is where we pause. This is where we just stop the cameras. I'm not playing games. I already read the directions upside down. All right, so there's that. That's what it's supposed to do, so that's what I'm gonna do. All right, let's tighten this up.
You guys always ask me if there's anything that I can't do. Well, I'm not great at building, and the fact that this welding table took me 2 rounds to even put this thing together was just embarrassing, but I'm gonna let it slide. So, to give you a little bit of a background information on the welder and the welding table, they are both the brand Clutch. They both can be purchased at Northern Tool. That's where I got these. I also did get a bunch of accessories, including the helmet and the gloves and a bunch of other accessories from Northern Tool all at the same time as I got this stuff. To give you a little bit of background on the actual welder, it's a dual voltage welder, which means that you can run it at 120 or 230 volts, just depending on which type of plug you have. The welder also comes with both plugs, so it just depends on what you have as an outlet.
Put it through here, and then here. Okay, the only problem is, okay. Each time, they're way too close together in here.
It's also important to note that this is a multi-process welder, which just means that you can use any type of welding style that you might need to weld, which includes flux core, MIG, TIG, and stick welding. And it comes with the accessories for each individual thing that you might need for each type of weld. You just have to supply, obviously, the gas and the wire. And just to give you a little bit of background on what I'm preparing to do, I have to cut out the floor and cut out a lot of rusted pieces that were incorporated and not correctly put together in this truck. I'm going to be cutting all of it out, and I'm going to be replacing it with new sheet metal that I get off of other cars. And I'm going to be just welding all of that. I'm going to MIG weld, and I'm going to use 23 gauge wire. I'm going to tell you right now, I had a harder time putting this table together than I did learning how to weld, which is saying a lot because I've never welded before. But this table is extremely sturdy. The top head of it was actually very heavy. But overall, it's a very sturdy, nice table. I would recommend it. It has wheels, and it also has stoppers next to the wheels. So if you want to keep it in one place, you can do that. And if you want to move it around, you can do that as well. The table doesn't look huge, but it has plenty of room for all of the welding accessories that are needed and that are inside of the box, as well as you can put the welder at the bottom. I didn't decide to do this. I actually had the guys here build me a welding rolling cart. It's just easier to hook up the gas and have everything moving together at once. But you can put the welder down here if you needed to in that space. The welding table also has hooks on the left-hand side, so you can put all of your hand tools and accessories that you might need on that. And it just has room for everything. I definitely like this table, and it was a great table to practice welding on.
I can't. There's nothing I can do here. Just All right. She is officially installed.
And now that we got the welding table all set up, I have somewhere to put this welder temporarily until the cart gets hooked up. So we are going to unbox the welder, put all the accessories at the bottom, and stick the welder at the bottom for now until, like I said, the cart is ready and we can hook it up to the gas as well. There's definitely a lot to unpack here, and I was very confused considering I've never welded before. I don't even know what half of this stuff is, but you're going to unbox it with me. And I do have a pretty good understanding of the pieces that are needed for welding MIG. The other pieces I couldn't even tell you. I saw a lot of hoses, and majority of them I just put under the welding table. First impressions of the actual welder itself, it's a lot lighter than I thought it was going to be, and that's a plus considering I move it around a lot in the beginning to try and get it set up.
Torch. Torch attachment, and then this is it. I'm not welding today. Came in on New Year's to set it up.
Okay, so as you could tell, I didn't weld that day. I was just setting up the welder. So this is actually going to be my first attempt welding with this welder. It is pretty fancy for a first welder. It has a lot of settings, a lot of options, and I was definitely really confused in the beginning, but once you figure it out, it's pretty nice and easy, and it's awesome that it has all of these different features. Also, another thing to know, I didn't know that some welding helmets need batteries, so I had to go and get that because I think I might have lost the battery that it came with because I, again, didn't know that it even had batteries. This is all new to me. So the pieces that I've already ripped out of the truck is what I used as practice sheet metal. I didn't want to get a fresh, clean slate of metal because I know that what I'm going to be welding to in this truck is not going to be perfect, and I'd rather honestly land on a mess so that way when the mess comes, I'm fully prepared to weld properly. I basically cut this into squares, and then I made sure that I grinded down all of it on the sides that I was planning to weld on, so I got some nice clean welds. And then I started welding. My first welds were not that great, I'm not gonna lie. I knew the concept, I got it, but I just couldn't process it, and I didn't fully do the best job. I was definitely overthinking it. So today is the second day that I've been welding. These little welding coupons, 2x4. So I'm gonna weld these. 11 gauge. What I really like about this welder is inside of the handle that you put the wire reel in, there's actually a table that explains to you exactly what settings you should be using for specific gauge of wire size. So this was, again, my second attempt welding, and these were a lot cleaner pieces. I think that they came out a lot better. I know that the most important part, obviously, is for the weld to go completely through, and this is what it looked like after a couple rounds. I thought that I had it pretty down pat. I know it's not perfect, but I'm practicing. So this, I grabbed the sheet metal again because this is more of what I'm going to be welding on, and I just continued until the point where I got really comfortable. Once I got comfortable, I got into welding on the truck. The hardest part, though, with this truck is not knowing that there's rust in certain places. So when I go to weld pieces, sometimes I burn holes through them because I don't realize, but the metal is just really not there in some spots. So I'm definitely going to have to be doing a lot of patching, and it was frustrating, especially like first time welding, having to deal with that. but I think that it's going to make me a better welder in the end because I'm doing the really hard stuff now. So at this point, I have welded the first piece of the floor back on, and I think it came out really well. There was a spot that was just spotting really bad that I was able to fix, and now we're just going to get into welding. So stay tuned for part 2.